Where's the mic gonna go? Everywhere. Where is the mic gonna go?
I'll show you now that we're live streaming. Oh, I gotta hit record on this.
Yeah, we'll check this for all this.
Somebody can check on YouTube, like on the link on Telegram or something, that we are actually streaming. Someone being Lewis, who's now reeling because I said he talks during the events.
Now I'm not talking.
I will bet that that's not the case. But okay, so these mics, this. What's up, man? The mask, I didn't tell. Yeah. Elvis is in the building. Yes. And these wires let it dangle. It's also not really intrusive how thin it is. Yeah, it works good. There's going to be 3 hanging spread out in that area and 3 in that area. And they all tie into the mic. That way when someone does ask a question, even somewhere out there for someone that's watching it live streamed, it catches it crystal clear.
It was hard to understand when they...
Yeah, of course. But this little thing is actually going to be the solution. I got one of them right now just to like quadruple test it, hook up with the equipment. But I've talked to some consultants and everything like that have done it. We've looked at videos and looked at how well it will do. So I would say the audio is going to be, like the first part's going to be slides. Like there's no slides tonight because I'm not really a slides person. But the slides thing is the computer I just showed you, to where now all presentations are going to be on that computer behind you. And a fancy clicker with a laser pointer and everything will be coming in. So it doesn't matter if the person is accustomed to Mac or accustomed to PC. Everyone can work the clicker. And then that device will be connected to Ecamm Live, which is on the other computer and what we're going live with. And then what's going to happen is people that are watching it live, in case any of you are ever watching it live, will see on the screen the presentation. And then you're going to see, like in the bottom left, but a little bigger than usual, the actual speaker. So the fix is
like a Zoom share screen.
Yeah, like a Zoom, similar to a Zoom screen, yeah, screen share. I'm really impressed with how clean it came out. So let's see.
If you want to ask any questions while what's going on, it's okay?
In person or live, yeah. Any questions? Well, when I'm presenting, you ask questions whenever you want. Some presenters prefer you hold the questions to the end. I feel like that's more like webinar-ish, like formal, full-blown webinar-ish. I prefer something a lot more interactive, like a meetup, like what we're doing. So, Louis, are you able to look at the video?
I tested it.
Okay, is it possible that you could leave it open and look to any questions that come in?
Sure.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so today's event is, has to do with email marketing 101 is the picture. So it's email marketing or how to build your email list from scratch. Obviously for someone that doesn't have any experience with email, focused for an e-commerce business. So like Amazon and other e-commerce. So like I usually do, I took a few notes just so I don't ramble too much. And
oh shit, there's already a bunch of questions.
That's cool. So just make sure if anyone says, I can't hear you, then there's a major audio issue. Like, let me know that now.
On this, I can't be like watching it. I guess I can't.
Okay, cool. You know where to go there? There's like an eyeball that you can click on, and the eyeball will open it up into YouTube. But I feel like a lot of people get tripped up in an email marketing presentation, not email marketing, how to build your email list presentation. The same way I recently did with Shopify. So I'm looking to bring on some Shopify presentations into our meetup event. Not constantly. It's an Amazon meetup, but to start like working some of those in because they can complement your Amazon business. But when I went to start trying to find some of these people and asking around, what happened was everyone was introducing me to the person that I just must be with. The person was more of a Shopify designer. Like there's a good friend of mine that does that, and he helped me realize that you got to be a little more clear on specifically what area of Shopify you're talking about. If you've ever built a website, there's the design part of it. There's copy. There's connecting your Facebook pixel and your Google tags, so more marketing side of it. There's the integrations, or with Shopify, like all the plugins, and you don't use every plugin. I wouldn't use every plugin that you use because we probably have different business models. So which plugin combo or stack works better for what business? And then finally connecting the emails. So that's more of the email side of it, like all the automations. Maybe your emails are going to play really well with ManyChat, so you have that going on. And then finally, you'd have stuff like, one-click upsells, what freebie gets put here, what bump offerings, like all that stuff. So there's several areas of Shopify. Same thing with emails. So I broke it down like with my own verbiage is when we're talking about emails, based on the questions, we usually get targeting. And it's like, okay, who do I target? So that's one part of it. The other one I just call the net, and that's what we're going to go over today. And that is, even if you know the target, you can't get the person to put the email on, nothing matters, right? And the targeting is not that hard to do. I think people make the targeting harder than what it is because they want to just do it immediately at mass scale with as least effort needed on their part to do it. That's what kind of people default to. So the net is what we'll talk about today, and that's going to be like all the different ways, not all the different ways, but the ways I feel that I found that are the easiest to get people onto your email list. So you've targeted the right person, or maybe you didn't target the right audience, but there's 1,000 people in there, and your offer, your net is good enough that people are going to get on your list. So there's the net. Then there's the lead magnet, which we have an amazing presentation in the Amazon video. Well, I think everyone here is by Fernando. Remember Fernando Spartan Gomez? I mean, it doesn't get better than that. This is how to build a lead magnet, soup to nuts, in 15 minutes? Yeah, literally 15 minutes. It's in the advanced section of the Amazon Video Vault by Fernando Gomez. It's the best. As a matter, I'm in some really high level, marketing masterminds, and I'm in Digital Marketer, Elite, and all that. And this is the presentation, and the go-to person they are for building lead magnets is Fernando, and we have an in-depth presentation by him. So targeting, net, lead magnet, the back end. Again, that's an entirely other presentation. So you have your audience, you have the net, you have your lead magnet, and I'll get into what a lead magnet is if nobody knows in a second. But the back end is like tagging. Like when someone gets on, everyone's like, you got to tag them this way so that you can segment them and send them to the people that are interested in. So all this thing, like I talk about scoring, like what I use in my Amazon business a lot for everything email marketing is scoring. So even if you bought something from me and you're on my email list, you downloaded a lead magnet and Tom entered by a contest, right? So initially you probably think that you're my best customer. At all times, you're my best customer. But the thing is, what if Tom and Lewis continue to open up all of my emails for the next 6 months, and they read my stuff and they engage in the contest, they get my email newsletter, they do all this, you don't open anything. You made the purchase. You might hate me and hate my product. A lot's changed since the time you bought the product. So scoring is what I use. Your score every time I sent something would drop a little bit until you have worked your way off my email list, because I'm paying a monthly fee on this email list based on the amount of people I have on the list. So this is my house cleaning that's going on here. Whereas Lewis and Tom, their score would slightly go up, not in a huge burst like you would if somebody purchases from me, but it would go up, and this person's staying engaged and reading my stuff and interacting with my links and stuff. So that's what I mean by back end. And I plan on doing a Wizards of Ecom workshop stuff just on the back end side of it, hopefully in March or April. Automation's another part of it, and then sell and nurture. So those are the different areas. Today, I mean, we could take questions towards the end that fall into any area of that. And again, like always, ask questions as we go. For anybody that's doing this, I'm going to break it down, again, going step by step on the ones that I use, how I use them, and we can do this like a regular meetup. But if you have any questions about any area of email marketing, just chime in throughout, towards the end or whatever, and we'll answer all of them. That works? Yeah. So the quick one, because we're going to use it a lot, is lead magnets. Everybody here is cool. Everybody here knows what a lead magnet is? No? Okay. A lead magnet is a value offer. There's a lot of cool definitions for it, but it's basically everybody here assigns a value to their email, whether you know it or not. So I'll give you a penny if you sign up for my email list. And you're like, no. Some people are like, I don't sign up for any email lists. I bet you if somebody said, I'll give you $500 if you sign up for my email list, you will. Because what happened there is that the value far exceeded the value that you assigned to your email address. It may have even been, heck, for $500, you can show up in my inbox all you want. I'll build a filter. I don't care. But the value that was offered exceeded the value you placed on your email list. So a lead magnet can take a lot of different forms. I find one of the least effective lead magnets personally is an ebook, but that's usually the one that everybody says. I find a more effective lead magnet to be maggot. I find a more effective lead magnet to be something like a checklist. Like, here's a checklist of everything you need to pack when going to Italy, versus here is the ebook on that you should read on. Oh no, a better one, an ebook on all of the places you should visit when you go to Italy, or a checklist of the top spots you need to go visit when you go to Italy. The one that's going to convert better is the checklist. People just don't have time to read. Most people don't do it. So it's not, it needs to solve a problem immediately and fast. Divorce attorneys will use a calculator, and it's like, calculate the child support blank, or calculate the impact that's going to happen to your check if you decide to go through with this divorce. It's going to answer a problem immediately. Imagine if that same one was, read this book about divorce and life after. It would be horrible. Like, no one's going to do that. So they take on a lot of different forms. Coffee recipes, tea recipes. If you wanted to float some ideas on products, like, they don't have to be your own. You could say asking for a friend. I could tell you probably some pretty good lead magnets that you could do. A lead magnet could be, don't overcomplicate things. Like, don't create a lead magnet on how best to crush your garlic press. Watch this 20-minute how-to video, right? That doesn't work. But some things may require a video, and sometimes the video could be 20 minutes long. It could be 5 minutes long. It could be a video series. I also find that free courses have kind of lost their thunder when it comes to the form of a lead magnet. There's a place for free courses, but as a lead magnet, to get someone to want to give you their email and download this, it's not very effective. Any questions so far on that, on like what is a lead magnet? Anyone want any more examples on what is a lead magnet? No? Any questions? You said there was some questions, Louis, or no?
Yeah. Rachel wants to know how to get high quality leads. I found that email lists I've tried building are full of deal seekers. What's the best way to avoid this?
First of all, what's up, Rachel? But first, the best way to avoid deal seekers is to stop talking to deal seekers. Stop going to freebie sites. Stop putting your product available for 100% rebates. I'm not saying you do that, but I'm just like guessing at all the different things. Just like if you say I wanted to impress everyone and I wanted to show you how many amazing, we'll use the urban gardening brand. So I have an urban gardening brand and infancy stage, and I want to impress everyone with how much I have on my email list. I want to open my active campaign, and I want to show you all these amazing, like how I got 150,000 people. Super easy. I gave away a MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air would be full of a whole bunch of just freebie deal seekers, and the product was not relevant at all to my urban gardening brand. So that's almost the number one way. That's an audience issue. Also, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is going to go over like the types of ways that you could use these things. Deal seekers, and well, everyone's a kind of a deal seeker. Like, you're a serious deal seeker, but everyone will.
Louis or Rachel?
Louis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That you're not wanting freeloaders and freebie seekers, and they have no desire ever on this earth to spend $1 for your brand. As a matter of fact, they may want it because they want to flip it on eBay. Like, that's the relationship that they have with the product. Yeah, right? Talking about eBay. Anything else?
We have another one from Phil. What's the best incentive to get users to leave their email?
The short answer is something of value greater than their email. It's that simple. The example I've given just a ton of times is when I used to have a coffee accessory brand, was a contest, and the contest was giving away this DeLonghi high-end, really nice, took up a good decent bit of space, but really nice desktop ceramic burr coffee grinder. And I was giving it away for free, basically, for funniest caption wins on a contest, and I got nothing, right? Which freaked me out, because I was like, you have to do this. This is the #1 bestseller on Amazon. Like, everything checks out. What happened here was that by me not really knowing my audience, that the majority of the people on my list, which is the majority of coffee drinkers in the world, they drank instant. They drank Bustelo. Like, they didn't need a coffee grinder. They didn't have whole bean coffee in their house. So I turned it around and wound up giving a Starbucks gift card. and it just went off the freaking charts. And the reason for that is the value, in this case, not necessarily the monetary value, but in this case, the value of the item now far exceeded the email that they were going to give. So let's go on to, oh, that's a perfect segue there. Contests, especially viral contests. So the majority of the time that we've had this meetup, the contest tool that I always talk about is WooBox. I still absolutely love WooBox as far as it's the most robust tool. It can do contests, trivia, polls. You can create landing pages. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. It integrates with a lot of cool stuff. But over the last year, I've begun also using another really amazing tool called RafflePress. And RafflePress, I like to describe the difference between it and just a regular contest is a contest that has some virality to it. It's similar to Viral Loops, but more affordable if you didn't get it on the AppSumo plan, and just ridiculously robust. It also allows you to easily tie this in with influencers, and this is how it works. So same thing, you have something to give away of value greater than the person's email. And in this case, it's not funniest caption wins. In this case, you are going to give them points, and this is automatically done by the tool. You are going to give them points based on actions they take or retake. And then you decide what those actions are. Example, when someone looks at your RafflePress contest, they'll see a whole bunch of grayed out things. The only two things you'll see that they can actually access for points is your email or sign up with Facebook. Some way to get in contact with you and maintain the contact. Once they have entered one of them, or you could just say email. Once they have entered one of them, maybe the next 6 things will ungray, and this is tweet this tweet. And you click it, the tweet's populated, and it's talking about your contest, linking to your stuff, and they just hit tweet. Another one would be follow us on Instagram. You click this, automatically, we'll start following you on Instagram. Watch this YouTube video, your YouTube channel if you want to promote it. You can, and this is where it ties in with influencers, you can even say, follow this person's Instagram. So say you want to work with the influencer and get their attention and be like, hey, look, I wanted to show you the results on this. I just sent you these 800 followers that you just got. I sent them as part of my contest. You can get them to say something like, say you wanted to jack your watch. I'll probably do this soon with the YouTube channel that I'm launching, is watch time is sort of important in the beginning for you to be able to monetize your channel. So you could say, hey, look, I mention a color in this 10-minute video and input this color here. The correct answer gives you 100 points. So they do all this, and then once they've done all of them, it says come back the next day to be able to do this again, because you don't mind if this person tweets this every day, and you'll continue giving them points. And there's a lot of actions that you can get them to take again and again through the life of the contest, and then the tool automatically decides who wins. So a tool I'm really liking now is RafflePress. Now, when we just ran one for the dance studio for some dance shoes, and we got, I believe it was 6,500 emails. I believe it was the pair of shoes, like $250 Tango dance shoes, or I think they were Tango dance shoes, but like 6,500 emails. Break that down on what you paid or what you could pay in the best case scenario on Facebook for that targeted of an audience. There was a bit of an advantage there, like we have a dance studio, we had an email list to kind of base it off of, but the vast majority of this was people that we just didn't even know. The person that won was from out of state. It really, really works. Try it out, Raffle. I think they have like a free month or something like that. And I don't know the cost, but I know it's really cheap. Like if somebody can look it up real quick, I'm going to say like under $30, under $30 a month. So.
What do you think about giving away your own product as a giveaway? Or is that dependent upon how much your product is worth? Once again, going back to the value of your product.
Absolutely. You couldn't answer it better. Like I was going to say something else, but that's literally the best answer. Is your product more valuable than their email? I find that the majority of the time that I'm doing it, it's that I have a bigger target in sight, and I'm rarely the top dog, that just untouchable, king of the hill. So I don't mind at all. Let's use the DeLonghi, grinder again, and that anyone that uses the DeLonghi thing maybe also is into pour over coffee, or maybe also uses a scooper, or maybe also would want another grinder. And this is a really expensive DeLonghi grinder. It's not like when everybody loses, they're just going to run out and get that model. They weren't going to buy that model. They just were on the market for a grinder. All those people that didn't win, a few things can happen. Initially, I would send an offer for your product. And I'd give them a day or two. They didn't. I'd follow up. After that, I'd send everyone an affiliate link for an Amazon affiliate link for the DeLonghi thing that they wanted, and how many now convert at full price. They were like, I just want to do it. So something you get out of it, and then that, for me, that campaign's kind of dead.
On your gift card, how much did you give your gift card away?
I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was 20 to 50 bucks. I want to say 20 to 25 bucks, something in there is what the gift card was, but it could have been 50 bucks. What it was like 5 times less, 6 times less. If it was 50 bucks, that's still like 6 times less than the actual grinder. Yeah. Very similar, like a similar scenario, like say you're doing a baby product and say strollers are your thing. To me, like the Graco stroller, I know there's some other ones now that are like costs the amount of a small car, and they're these weird shaped things, but to me, the Graco was always like, that's the really good one. They're sort of expensive. You could run a contest for that Graco stroller, but what percentage of those people are not into the Graco brand? How about instead give a gift card to one of these baby stores, or several gift cards that they could choose from that are anywhere that could be half the price. You can grab a seat. Just grab a seat if you want. Just wave as you pass by the camera. Yeah. That could be half the price, but have more value to more people that are engaging. So it's not always the monetary amount in that case.
And where do you run these contests on Facebook?
You can run them everywhere. Facebook seems to be the easy one that everyone's talking about right now. I'll use one right now that I've not done, but I feel extraordinarily confident that I could make it work. And that is, Lewis looks like a baby guy, right? So I would get Lewis in all his baby lore, and we would open up a clubhouse chat, a clubhouse room, and we would talk about we were doing this giveaway, and we would put, the only thing in our bio would be the actual link or how to find our actual contest. Like no one's done, I don't even think anyone's even thought of doing that. But like, you could totally use that. If you have a social media group, you could totally use a social media group as a post. You could run it as a Facebook ad. I would say for the average person, the Facebook ad is the most complicated way to go about it, especially if you have no idea of how to run a Facebook ad. I think at scale, it's the best one. At scale, yeah. Because, I doubt you're going to run out of Facebook's audience of people that they know. Whereas your Facebook group, even if it's a massive Facebook group of people for garlic presses, like what do you have, 50,000 or less? The smallest interest you pick is going to exceed 50,000 on Facebook. So that's what's the appeal of Facebook. We're talking about email, and this is not really going to make a ton of sense. We're talking about how to catch people in the net on getting them on your email list. So it's a beginner. But once you have an email list, you run the contest to your email list. Yeah, remember, you have the majority of the people on the list haven't bought from you. So this is great. Yeah.
I was going to say that raffle price goes from $39 to $159, and there is a lifetime offer of $360.
I have the lifetime offer, so that's why I didn't really know the prices. $360 lifetime offer. Get it. You could also use it for any business you want. It's fantastic. Also, I'm not backing off WooBox. Any of you here that if you're going to talk about WooBox for years or on the live stream?
Is that a plugin for the website or?
Rafflepress can be a WordPress plugin, but it's also it can be a standalone web page.
You link to that page, and that's where.
Yep. Yeah. Another very similar one, I just don't feel like it's as robust, and you may also find a lifetime deal, is one called King Sumo. KingSumo.com. You could do that also with King Sumo. Very, very similar concept for the actual tool. Any other questions before we go on to the next one? It's only 6:55. I thought it had been an hour. No? Okay. Here's one you don't want to do, and this is what almost everybody does to get on my email list. Join my newsletter. Nobody cares about your newsletter. They just don't. They just really, really, really don't. I know this because that used to be my thing. You got on my list for a warranty. You got on my list for anything. You received my weekly newsletter, which I wrote minutes before I sent out. I didn't do any kind of spell checking. I didn't do anything. I just sent this thing out. And then I would say, email sucks. It doesn't work. Look at my open rate. The only thing that's moving on my chart are my unsubscribes every time I send this thing out, right? Newsletters can work. I just think you have to, again, address that value thing. Like, for example, I sign up and read religiously 3 email newsletters. And I actually think there's a trend right now for getting into a business that is a paid email newsletter or an email newsletter that's completely monetized with ads. So the 3 I religiously read, I mean, might not have brushed my teeth yet. Marketing Brew, Trends, and there's another one by, this is my newest one, but one by Robin Hood called Snacks or Snackable. I think it's called Snackable. And I get all 3 of them. But again, if you start reading into these email newsletters, they have like a 25-person team. They're all like journalists and extensive experience in this topic, like niche experts. So I don't feel like anybody here in our e-com business or in our Amazon business has that sort of team at that level to do that. But if you could create an email newsletter like that, not only could you use it as a lead magnet, you could have people pay you to send it to them as a lead magnet, but that's an extreme.
Do you pay for those newsletters? Or are those free?
One of them I pay for, Trends I pay for. But again, when you sign up for the email newsletter on Trends, you get access to the Trends Facebook group, which is ridiculously awesome. You also get weekly high-end workshops that, well, not as high-end as us, no, I'm just kidding. But like you get weekly high-end workshops with some like really, really interesting people as part of this. So that little thing you pay is just, yeah. And the email newsletters are very good. It's really good looking at it from a business perspective of like, man, I wish if I had an email address, it would look like this. It's really good on, they really understand like what's going on. I'm also humorous. Like I like to have some humor injected into things. So they do a good job. They check that box for me as well when I'm reading it. But so email newsletters is not, I felt like I wanted to include something there. That is not a good lead magnet. All right. Now, what I will do, and I don't consider this an email newsletter, and this is really effective, I just want to say it before we move on to the next one, is once somebody is on your email list, but now we're getting into like the nurture side of it, and you want to keep in contact with them and stay relevant, I think that is important. And I've done that in the form of recipes. You could do it in the form of exercise tips. You can do it in the form of just beauty market. See, I mean, and that would probably have a ridiculously high open rate if you like did something and this person, you know, like whatever beauty issue they had, they no longer feel they have it, they would always open your stuff. So like whatever your category is, you could create something like that. But what you just don't want to do is when someone gets on your email list, just automatically start sending them that. Ask them and get them to opt in to receiving that. And then they'll actually open it. Any questions on that? Any questions? I see you're like really paying attention to it, yeah? Here's an easy one. I use a tool called Group Funnels. So this is a really easy way to get emails. Open up a Facebook group, okay? Open up a Facebook group, put a catchy name. You don't have to like massively admin this thing. Just put some good content in there every now and then. It could be, you don't have to create the content. Just put some good content in there, keep the conversation going. When someone jumps in there and gives their advice or their link to their course on Bitcoin, delete it. Like just manage it, like minor management. And now what you do is you get a tool called Group Funnels. There's like 1 or 2 others. I really like Group Funnels, and I know Arnie Giske here. But what this does is it's a Chrome extension. And the Chrome extension, you're going to connect it to your Facebook group. And now you're going to notice sometimes, like when you go to some Facebook groups now, you'll see 3 questions that pop up. You know, the admins of this group want to ask you 3 questions. They're not mandatory, but in those 3 questions, you could put that they're mandatory. And if someone doesn't answer them, you delete them. I personally don't do that for most of my groups. I'll make them optional. But what I'll do in one of the questions is I'll say something like, do you want to receive a free month to this? Or do you want to get our informational on this product? Do you want us to, in the Entrepreneurs Book Club, do you want us to send you an email of our 10 best book reads for this specific niche that you're in? If so, put your email. Now, what group funnels will do automatically is when you go now into your Facebook group, you get, popped right in your face. You have 13 people have requested to join your group. You're like, yes. And it's going to open it up. And then you're going to see it loading, and it's going to go green. And you go, group funnels is ready. Hit yes. Now, what group funnels is going to do is you have created a Google Sheet. It will push that to your Google Sheet. So just every now and then, you just jump into your Facebook group and you look at it, and you just, group funnels is ready. Bam. You hit it. It shoots over to your Google Sheet. Now, in your Google Sheet, they show you how to set it up. They give you the template on how to set up the sheet because it needs to be formatted a certain way. One of those fields is email. You'll have this connected to Zapier. Again, they give you the video and like stupid simple walkthrough on how to do this. And Zapier will say, okay, anytime information is pushed to this sheet, fire it over to insert your email service provider here. For me, that's ActiveCampaign. I feel like if you're in e-commerce, you need to be using either ActiveCampaign, Klaviyo, or ConvertKit, but I'm just biased to ActiveCampaign. It'll just shoot it straight over to your email service provider, and then you start getting into the automation side of emails. That is a very, very passive way to do it. As a matter of fact, you can set up your group to where people can't see the content in the group until they've joined. I think this is a little shady, but people are going to join. This is a topic they want. I know someone like bush hunting something. There's nothing in the group. This guy builds like 40 emails a day of people interested in this bush hunting. And he has products that are relevant to bush hunting. And he gets 40 emails a day, cost zero. Well, I think GroupFunnels has like a lifetime deal of like, again, I think it's like $300 for life or $400 for life or something like that. So you have that cost, but those emails cost you almost nothing. And Facebook, based on other people's interests, will show this group to them.
So quick question. So that extension allows you to add those questions or to make the export into that Google Sheet?
Google Group Funnels will not get you the questions. The ability to be able to add the questions is a function that you have to enable within your Facebook group settings. And then you fill out what those questions are. You could put a mandatory, optional, it doesn't matter. The one I like to put and say that is mandatory is, do you agree to follow the group rules? And if I'm paying attention, if somebody didn't answer that, then I won't let them in for that. But the majority of the time, it's kind of like, you want to join the group? Join the group. You do spam, you're out. You want to be a lurker? Majority of people on Facebook want to be a lurker. Some people join the Facebook group and are not lurkers just because they see how big the number is in the Facebook group. So you're contributing in some way. But you set up the questions in the back end of Facebook and say, yes, I want questions. Anytime somebody comes to my group to ask these questions, I would say put something like, do you agree to follow the rules, so help me God, whatever, of this Facebook group. Another one you could put is, tell me something about your journey with bush hunting. I don't know. And the last one would be, do you want the 10 video series on how to survive off bush hunting when anarchy breaks out in the I don't know. And then you have it and the person's like, yeah, I want that. And they got to put their email address. The other good thing here is they're putting in an email address that's real because otherwise they don't get it. They don't get the thing that you want to get. So what happens there is you have the person that probably, we were just talking about this before, that's probably on Facebook and their account is with some AOL email that they never go into. But this lead magnet, this bush hunting thing that they're going to automatically get, they're not going to give you that email because they never check it. They're actually going to give you the email that they open because they want to receive this thing. So GroupFunnels is a really, really, really good one. I told myself I was going to bring my computer and I was going to show you guys GroupFunnels in action right now, like using one of my groups. I forgot though that computer is over there handling the stream, so I can't bring it over here and do the HDMI. But if you go to GroupFunnels, if you look up GroupFunnels online and just look at their videos, it's super self-explanatory. It's super easy. Any other questions on that?
Yeah. Do you have any hacks as far as like naming that group, like the Facebook group? So, for example, if you do sell, I don't know, baby supplies or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying do something clever, something funny, some kind of naming thing.
If a hack for naming a Facebook group, I would say search for your product on Facebook by groups and then look at the groups that are performing the best. So if you know that your product is if you know that the content or the things you want to post have to do with, you have a cheese board and you're like, well, I know nobody's going to come to Facebook to look at my cheese board, but wine and cheese pairing guide, like now we're nice, and who puts their cheese just on their dirty table? Like I see where I can fit there. It's a stretch, but it can work. So I would probably go in there and search for wine and cheese by group and see what comes up. And now when I see one that has 18 or 8, I'm just going to disregard it. The name might be good, but I'm just going to disregard them. Now when I see the one that has 180,000 and they've had 164 posts a day, I'm going to model that name. That would be the hack, I would say. Short of that, I would then start defaulting to like my BuzzSumo tools, and I would see like what are the really good articles that have been posted here, like the top 5 for these keywords. And then I would go in there and look at them, and a lot of these posts, at the end, they'll reference this amazing, highly engaged Facebook group that you could be part of if you join their list or if you just click this link. And then I would look at those names for the Facebook group as far as naming them. But that's a good one. There was a question?
Yes, someone wants to know, how do you calculate the open rate?
Well, the tool you're using should give you the open rate. A good friend of mine just put up, not a good friend of mine, I consider him a friend of mine, but we've been on each other's podcasts. Well, actually, has he been on our podcast? If not, I got to get him on the Wizards of Amazon podcast. But I was on their podcast, and he shared something with me, and I did it every now and then, but I didn't really build it in as like, this is how you should do it. And it's when you send, well, a lot of times what somebody will do is they're like, here's my offer, I'm sending it out. And they send it out and they look at like the open rate of like whatever, like you sent it, let's use 1,000 people, 5 people opened it. And that's it. That's where everything dies right there, right? But what you can very easily do is just resend it to everyone that has not already opened it. And you could even, you want to resend it to everyone who's not opened it. You don't know how many times you've seen your inbox and you don't catch it the first time around, and you're thinking you're going to get back to it, but you probably never do. Popping up again for the people that were going to open this to begin with, just they'll click on it, they'll open it. So a really easy way, I would do this a few times. 3, 4 max, depending on what it is. If I'm trying to sell something, I might only do it 1 or 2 more. But if it's a piece of content that I really want everyone to get engaged with, and I'm trying to really educate them on a product that I have that's about to launch, retarget with the same email the people that didn't open it to increase your open rate. But whatever tool you're using that's worth its weight in salt right now is going to tell you the open rate of the email campaign you sent. All right. Any other questions on that? Nope. All right, Stan.
How many days do you wait to resend?
I mean, depending. I tested. I mean, the only book I've ever read that I feel was good for email marketing was The Rebel's Guide to Email Marketing, which pretty much says whatever rule that exists for email marketing, there is probably several reasons on why it should be broken at some point. All the other email books are like so stale because they said this is the way you do it. You must do your subject line this way, or else nothing. You know, I'm like, yeah. So you think Google's just static, like they never change. So like this, it's not true. So in some cases, you could try later that day. Think of it on social media. If you know a lot about social media, what is that? What is the tool that? God, I always forget this name, and it's a powerful tool. It will go into everything you've posted, see what engaged the most, and then post it again. Like, because when someone says, I can't post that again, I already posted it. You have a group of 5,000 people. Facebook's only showing it to like 15. Like, do you know what the chances are actually pretty bad that the same people are even going to see that again? So you just post it again. Newspapers do it all the time. It's like the same article. They just twisted this, this one title around, or they worded it a little differently. So test later that day if you sent it early in the morning. I would say at the latest the next day.
Is there a certain program that goes and checks what was really interesting to people?
The 3 that I named, even the one that this is an amazing email marketing tool. I just think for the type of businesses that we have with Amazon and e-commerce, I don't recommend it. MailChimp, right? But MailChimp's been around forever. I just don't recommend them, right? They do everything average.
No, and now they are charging you for your unsubscribe forever.
Yeah.
So if you have 2,000 people, 1,000 unsubscribed, you will pay for the 1,000 forever.
Yeah, I stopped using them a long time ago. Because anytime you get it, for me, email marketing is synonymous with like automation. If you can't do automation with your email marketing, it's an Excel tool, the formula. So I feel like when you start getting into formulas and rules and segmenting and scoring, you need to hire a 10-year expert on MailChimp to figure out how to do that without it breaking. And I'm just like, I can't do that.
So which one is better if you don't want to use MailChimp?
ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo? I suggest ActiveCampaign. And a lot of the presentations outside of the meetup group and workshops that I plan on doing here will be ActiveCampaign focused.
Have you ever tried the drip?
I know some people that have used Drip. You're talking about Drip that was purchased by Lead Pages.
Drip.com?
Yeah. I liked it when I saw it. I like Lead Pages better than ClickFunnels actually. But when they bought Drip, I really liked what I saw, but it didn't make sense outside of Lead Pages for me. And I just never messed with it. I also don't think I like it a million times better than MailChimp, Drip, but I don't think it's anywhere near as good as ActiveCampaign, Klaviyo, or ConvertKit. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Staying on social media, a really, really good one to easily get emails. You could do this on your Facebook page. You could actually do it on your personal profile, but be careful. You can do it on your personal profile and you can do it on a group. And that is that cover image you get, that picture at the top. It's not clickable. Like, I mean, you could click it and see it, but it's not like you can get a graphic created on Fiverr for like next to nothing that has like one of these arrows like pointing up and it says, you know, the name of your lead magnet right there on it. And then when someone clicks on it, what they're looking at, what opens up is, you know, if you click on any picture, like if Tom and I took a picture and it was on Facebook and you clicked on it, you'd now see the comment section and you can tag people and you can do all that stuff. But instead here, it's going to have a comment and the comment's going to have a link and the link's going to be the lead magnet that people can click on and go off of Facebook for. So that cover image is like pretty powerful real estate. Like some people don't get past that. So have that to a landing page, asking for an email to deliver whatever your lead magnet's going to be. That's a simple one, but again, super easy. I probably get 20 or 30 a day, which is really nice. That's just like super passive. Also, the type of person that actually does that and clicks through is not like, seems to not be some freebie seeker because it's not offering anything for free. What else? An obvious one here, website purchases. Selling things on your website. So many people have someone, when someone buys something on your website, you ask them for your email in the process of checking out. But you'd be surprised how many people I come across that just sell something on their website and don't do anything with the email address, except to say I have 900 people on my email list. You know, I have 2,900 people on my email list, but they don't do anything at all with it. So just be intentional with it. Connect a meaningful email. Don't let it sit on the back of your WordPress or something. Just connect your email to it and at a bare minimum set up like, hey, thank you so much. Like a thank you, a welcome, a something. To where anytime somebody purchases, this thing happens. It's an obvious one, but it's a really good one. One that I'm going to add now for anybody that watched, I didn't even have this on my list, but because I needed to verify it. Dima presented on Saturday. For those of you that were at the Saturday presentation. And he shared, so I mean, everybody's going to see it in the video vault, that we still can, this was news to me, we still can get the address and name and all that information to all of our FBA customers. Right? It's on the 2-week report in the TXT file. So I would say if you are playing loosely with the rules and if you wanted to do that, you could use those emails and put them on an email list. I suggest being cautious with it, but it's definitely going to be better than buying buying 100,000 emails on the black market.
You wouldn't be able to hit those people up with warranty information? You can, right?
That's a stretch. It depends on the product. I mean, the thing is, if they bought a TV, yeah. Who here gets a warranty for something under $10? Like, who here fills out the warranty information for under $10? Like, at what price do you change? 15 bucks? 20? 25?
But I mean, stuff does bring warranty. I mean, people do offer warranties for products.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to use that email from Amazon and send something, that is a very weak shot. Like, you might even just piss people off, depending on what you. If you're going to use that information, I would say create a custom audience. Like, if you're getting a phone number or something like that, then you want to create a custom audience on Facebook.
Certain report to get all these email addresses from.
Yeah, if you want afterwards, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, that's
So
what-
yeah,
How long ago? Did
I was betting that it didn't exist, but
But you're getting the Amazon email addresses for these customers.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. So like if you're gonna do, you need to be really careful with that because if you're gonna do an email that's too much of a marketing email, that you go against TOS, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't use it. Period.
I wouldn't do that.
I'm putting it here because I know a lot of people play a little more loosely with the rules and
But
have
the
a
other
different.
thing also is that anyway, in the last like year, not 2 years, a lot of people have blocked these emails. So whatever you sent through that, like a lot of people have opted out from these emails. So you send the email, but Amazon never delivers it.
No, but that's not the buyer seller message.
Yeah.
No, this is the email where they receive an email saying your order has shipped.
Their own emails.
Their own
This is
emails.
their
I
prime-
didn't think it
their
existed.
prime-
I had to verify it. Dima shared it on Saturday.
Really?
Yes,
But,
That's crazy.
I know. I would have bet. We were talking about it afterwards. I verified it. Ramon verified it. Like,
How
it's
long
legit.
ago Did they take that out though? Because I remember I had an issue with someone.
I'll send you the link afterwards, like
That's
on where
what it
you can
was.
go get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone-
interesting.
I had gotten into this list, and it was a coffee during the pandemic, and then when I bought it, it was one, Folgers 8-ounce thing, and then when I sent it in, they switched it to a 3-pack of Folgers 8 ounces. So when my customers got it at FBA, they got one. We're expecting what they had bought, which was a 3-pack. So I was gonna send the customer the other 2 to see if they would remove the feedback, the negative feedback they had requested. They had left, and Alfred had showed me how to go in and get the person's email without, not their email, I'm sorry, their address without even asking. So until May, I guess I would say it was working. And so it was an Excel.
I just went in there to see if you could see like the address and everything, and I haven't even gone through the whole report. I didn't think any of it showed.
I saw the person's name, their email, their.
I didn't even look for the email. I looked for. I was like, just the address and everything. Like for me, just the ability to Google Earth.
It came with
Like-
their order number, everything.
Yeah, just isolate by multiples. Look for Google Earth because I'm not going to use the email, so it was no interest looking at the sheet. But you could. It seemed like all the information was on there.
Well,
And how
email is
far
powerful to do custom audience also. Like,
2 weeks.
Or phone number, but
all-
yeah.
2 weeks, you have to kind of get up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. I'm opening this up because I don't know if Lewis is actually looking.
I am.
Rachel says, sounds similar to UpViral. I guess you're talking about Raffle Press. Like, yeah, it is. It does seem very similar. Let me see what else we have on this list. I think I have like 1 or 2 other things here. Here's one that almost no one talks about. I think this is getting a little like marketing-ish. And but it's so powerful for building an email list. Quora and Reddit. Create a profile on Quora and Reddit. There's a book out there called, was it They Ask You Answer? Is that it, Tom? Like we talk about it a lot. They Ask You Answer. Dan Sheridan, I think it is. But the book's called They Ask You Answer. So literally, you can go on these sites, create a profile, and the link in your profile, just have it to your lead magnet. And you should be creating content for your website anyway. Everyone's like, what kind of blog or like what kind of content do I create? The book, They Ask You Answer, like really nails this home. And it's like, you write the content that is the answer of what people are asking. So like, what would be the things that people would ask? The easiest place to look would be frequently asked questions on your product and all of your competitors' products and stuff like that. So you write out, just get into the habit of cranking out like a nice piece of content. I was just talking to a friend of mine about this, Todd. I don't know if Todd's watching this, but like you just create content to answer questions. So now on your Reddit and your Quora account, your VA can answer these questions that comes up with a link to your stuff. And the more people that see that you're answering something with a high quality answer instead of these 4 words that I have a tendency to do sometimes when I'm in a red light. They go to your profile, they look at it, they see this amazing lead magnet, and they jump on it. I would say per month we probably get, for the business related stuff on Reddit and Quora, we probably get 400, 300 or 400, 300 or 400 emails taking that approach. But again, you're not going to do that one out the gate. You want to have some content, some written content or whatever that you can link to really have people like, hey, when this person answers, they really know their stuff. So any content or any email nets, like those are the easiest ones that I found for getting emails. That I didn't mention something like warranty because, to be honest, I find that to be so ridiculously ineffective. There's some situations where your product where it could help, but getting someone to go from warranty to engaged person with your emails to buyer, it's just been, it makes it not even worth me mentioning on my list, at least with my experience personally. But anything any of you guys want to add?
What about like offering like, extra value with special instructions, things like that? Like, hey, get the best results out of this product with our 10, top user tips or something like that,
Like having it as a card inside the product?
No, not as a card. Having it as, it could be a card inside the product. It could be, just communicating to them that if they sign up, right, with their email to your list, whatever you want to call it, then you will send them, these special tips, instruction, document, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like
it seems to me like if the person already invested to buy the product, they want to get the most out of it, right? And just getting special tips for free.
Yeah, that seems like it definitely works.
So Quora and Edit would be a good place to put your content?
Quora and Reddit is just like the absolute greatest gold mine on the web I've found for just your businesses. If you take the prior, I just didn't word it this way, but it's something I've done. But there's a book that I read, I think in the last few years, called They Ask You. Is it They Ask? I think it's They Ask You Answer. If someone can check that. They Ask You Answer by Dan Sheridan, right? Oh my God, just a total freaking game changer for how you approach content in your business. And Tom, I think you read the book. Like, I think we talked about it.
There's 2 books.
There's 2.
There's 2. Ask and what's the other one?
No, that's the ask and choose method. That's Ryan Levesque. Like, that's more of like the contest, trivia, and polls. He's a little obnoxious, but his stuff is really good. No, this is a different one. They ask, you answer. And it's just gold. So what happens is, in that sense, since you're hopefully, if you have a website, you're just creating content anyway. A lot of people get stuck on like, what content do I create? This is the answer to that. While everybody's focused on some flowery blog, which there's a place for that, you instead could be what, like say you saw a question on products and it said, what jewelry cleaner is best to use if I came out of the pool? I don't know, like say chlorine had an effect on something. And say you saw that question. Get that question, search it, find the top 4 articles that are out there, best articles on it, and then either hire a writer or do the writing and create a one-piece, really nicer that just answers this better than anything else on the web. So if you're doing that, like if there's a lot of different strategies, you don't have to do that strategy, but if you're using that strategy, what happens then if you also have, say, Quora and Reddit, and you're on there and you're following the threads and everything of people that are talking about, let's say, in this case, we're just talking about jewelry randomly, but say something about jewelry and somebody asks a question about, best thing to use to clean when I come out of a pool. Most people are answering with this 2-paragraph thing. You have something with infographics, maybe linking to other articles. It's the most thorough answer on the web. And when you do that, this is going to get the most upvotes, the most follow. People are going to jump over and check out your profile. And then you have a really nice lead magnet that's very relevant to that topic on your profile.
So you link that to your website?
The link would be a link to the landing page or to whatever vehicle you're going to use to deliver that actual answer or deliver on that actual lead magnet. So yeah, and then what happens is it just gets easier and easier because the more of these questions that you address, the more likely you're going to be the one that has the best answer for some of this other stuff, if that makes sense. Yeah. Any other questions? Because that actually went through my...
Do you on your e-commerce websites, do you use sign-up pop-ups?
Yeah.
It's worth using a pop-up.
You know the one that works the best that I've seen, and I just can't bring myself to actually using it because I absolutely hate it, is that wheel. It's such an eyesore for me. But that Wheel of Fortune wheel, that thing that just takes over half the screen. Steve Chu, I think it's Steve Chu. Yeah, Steve Chu from My Wife Quit Her Job, Bumblebee Linens. He uses this. I think he uses Privy is the one he uses, but there's a lot of other tools that do this. I cannot emphasize like how accurate he is in that tool. If you look at a site, I don't know if it's still up right now. If you look at a site called Vigorous Innovations, it is a friend of mine's site, and you have this pop up that's going to come up. His thing is help them start a podcast that talks about the average Joe fitness. He has one of those percussion like guns that go into the muscle. It's like ridiculously saturated. A whole bunch of Chinese people competing there. The amount of leads that comes from this obnoxious Wheel of Fortune pop up is just, I've never seen anything better than that. Yeah. So I haven't brought myself to do it. I'd rather just like miss out on that and get emails from other places. But this thing actually works. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You guys are laughing like you know it. You like it. Does it work for you? Do you use it?
We use it a little bit, but it gets annoying. And I mean, we just drop it. We got some emails from that.
Yeah. You guys got anything else? Any other questions, email related, or any? Like, this is kind of early, but.
So when you capture this email, what's your secret? What's your sequence for what you're doing to get them to buy something?
Depending on.
You're talking about scoring and everything. So what is your? I mean, and how long do you keep these people on your email list for?
They stay on my email list as long as they're for the way I score, they stay on my email list until their score reaches -10. They're going to stay on. When they hit -10, they'll get put on a different automation, which is letting them know like, hey, we hate to see you go. Obviously, life has changed, but they've been moved off my email list. If you ever want to get back on, and it's got a little link for them to click, and it'll allow them to sign back up and get back on my email list, which I've never really ever seen that happen.
Negative 10 is like 10 times they have not responded.
-10, usually if someone gets on at a bare minimum, it's 15. Yeah, usually the lowest points that somebody has if they come on is like say +5. And they'll probably engage with at least 2 pieces of content, or they got on and they bought something and they got 15 points. But it's probably at least 15 times that they did not engage with something, minimum. That they didn't do that and they go. In an automated way. Yeah. But you said the secret sauce for when somebody actually gets on your
Sure. Yeah.
on your emails, like what to do. Well, if it's a contest, then I would have.
So forget about a contest or something. But go to something plain vanilla.
Give me an example.
Someone's on your website. There's a pop-up, and they've been they like your website, and they want to get some stuff from you.
So they put in an email address, and yeah, they put in an email address. They spun the wheel. They didn't win a free product, and instead they were delivered a 20% off code for anything on the site. So the first email that would go out would be, thanking them, a brief thank you for visiting and whatnot. In a separate email, you're going to find your 20% off code. The next email would give them the 20% off code. I'd probably show like our top 3 products, most popular products on the site with an easy link. I wouldn't show images. I don't do graphics in my emails. I think it hurts delivery of the emails. So no graphics, plain text is converted so much better for me than anything else. I'll put links. So I'll put 3 links to our top 3 products. If they have a long title, I'll truncate the title down to as few words as possible that clearly says what this product is, or like maybe invites some curiosity. If they don't respond to that, I'll circle back with them in 48 hours. There'll be another automation that's set off by a timer letting them know that they haven't used their 20%. They still haven't. I might circle back depending on the product and say that we've given them a 50%, but this expires in 48 hours, depending on the product. I'm not a huge fan of doing those kind of discounts, but using this example and kind of running with it, and that's it for a 20%. If
Do you think in those emails that you give them, they reach that -10 right there if they haven't done this, and this, do they get to the -10?
No, I
Or
usually,
do you save until like-
I usually won't score that initial series. I won't score it by open rate. Like once they get past this, so if somebody gets on and they're like, I wanted to join your, let's do an email newsletter, which I don't think is effective, but like these people want to join your email newsletter. I'll have a 3 to 5 or 7 email sequence that ends with a sale, like that ends with me trying to sell something. Now, if they don't buy, it's not that they get removed. Like if they don't buy, let's say they don't open all 7. I don't score that as didn't open all 7. I want to get through that automation. And if they didn't buy, then I'll deduct a point. Now, all the other emails that go out after that, I'll start deducting the points for the purposes of getting them to -10. Otherwise, if I put them on a 10 email sequence, let's say they almost go to -10 at the beginning, and in reality, all it was, they didn't like the offer that I had, but they're still, interested in what I have to offer. Or they're just not ready to buy right then.
Would you consider your next sequence like Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, or 4th of July, or would you consider that next one email a sequence, or would you go back into another flow of emails?
No, everything else for me, I mean, I guess you could, there's no like hard, fast rule here that you must not score a sequence. That's just something I've done. As a matter of fact, I've never thought about it until you asked that. But I wouldn't wait until the next holiday to reach out for them. At that point, I don't think they know you exist. I would, and this is probably the hardest part about email marketing, is I would find a way to touch base with them about twice a week, minimum. You're just not relevant, I feel, nowadays if you're not touching base twice a week. There's just way too much going on. Somebody might be able to prove me wrong that it was different, but I feel like 2 is a minimum, which means put something quality in front of them that they will want to read just twice a week as a tall order.
Twice a week via email.
Via email, yeah.
Do you have somebody that writes for you, or do you write it?
No, I don't. I mean, I enjoy writing, but I don't write. I don't write my stuff anymore. No.
Somebody writes.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody in Fiverr, or?
I mean, depending on the budget you have, I would say the best email marketers. I'm actually trying to bring one in for. And he said, yeah, for the advanced presentations from emailallstars.com. Yeah. Definitely not the cheapest, but emailallstars.com. Out of Canada. But they'll build all that out for you. They'll do the writing, the tweaking, and all that stuff. I like to do it in-house and be in control of all those other aspects. A writer you could find. You can use Content Pickle. I mean, there's a ton of writing sites. I know some writers I could recommend to you to do it. I just think the writer's only going to be as good as the direction that you give them. Yeah.
Are there some don'ts like emojis? Like I've heard both sides. Emojis work.
Oh my God, I absolutely hate emojis, but they work.
Oh, they work?
I wish I was in charge, but no, they work. Yes, emojis work. Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't there more spam with that too, though, with the emojis? For some
I feel like so. I feel like they should be banned. I feel like it should trigger like the Anti-Spam Act or something like it. But no, yeah, the emojis work. Emojis work on Amazon too. I just think it's horrible. Like I think it's like so ugly on the listing. I don't like them.
But that's why I asked about the pop-ups, because I hate these pop-ups. You go to a website, and
Yeah.
you're like looking just and you got this pop-up. You
Yeah.
close it, and then like if the site is badly designed, it pops up again like after 5 or 10 minutes. It's just.
I'd love to see the data on some of those, because like one pop-up that I hate, it's like a type of pop-up that I hate, but when I go back and look at it, it actually worked on me, is exit intent. So based on your mouse is on the screen and no pop-up comes up, nothing obnoxious pops up, it's not going to bother you or anything like that. And yeah, it's not going to bother you or anything like that. But when you decide I'm out of here and you go up to your top bar, like you're leaving in either direction, you can set it up however you want. But when you go to leave, it will track the motion of your mouse that you went to go do that,
To the top right.
and then the pop-up will hit you right up in the area. Like it'll just hit you. Like, so exit intent pop-ups. So I hate them worse. I hate them more than the one that I just get there and pops up right square in the middle.
And then if it's
But I've
like
actually
like
converted
you try to
at a pretty
scroll,
decent rate for
scroll,
other people on exit intent pop-ups. So yeah, I use them because they work.
Stephen Chu's site, I'm telling you, that Bumblebee Linens, I mean, he's got everything on there.
And that's an ugly site.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got everything on there.
Yeah, he does.
Any chat to videos to how-tos to, I mean, it's,
Yeah, Steve Chu is really good when it comes to tying email marketing and ManyChat marketing together on an e-commerce site. I just wonder like who he hired for design on that site.
pictures.
Like how do you can't judge the person because he's so good on this, but it's like, check out the site.
Stephen Chu?
Yeah, or My Wife Quit Her Job podcast. He's the host of My Wife Quit Her Job podcast. Bumblebee Linens is the website. It's just horrendous. Yeah, it's almost annoying. What other email questions or anything like that, or email horror stories? Or
The quizzes that you use. Same thing, you do Facebook ad, how do you do the quizzes?
I actually like doing quizzes more for segmenting the people that are on my email list than for trying to. I'll either use it for a cold audience or I'll use it as a pinned announcement on your Facebook group, but mostly for the people that are already on my email list. So, trivia, quizzes, that kind of thing. Like you don't have to put your email to engage with it, but you're pixeling the person based on how far they went through. And if they want the results of what they just did, they can put their email address in or sign in with Facebook to actually get them. I think it's the example I'll give is I'll use an example of somebody with a product for hyperhidrosis, excessive sweating. That's like impossible to target. Like you don't go to a Facebook group for people celebrating hyperhidrosis or incontinence or something like that. Now, if you're providing a solution, he thinks it's hilarious. So like if you're providing though a solution that's really helping people that are dealing with this, email is the spot where people are going to most engage. It's super private. No one can deal with it. But like, say your product addresses extreme cases of hyperhidrosis, or most people don't even realize they have it. It's like a really alarmingly high percentage of the population that has some degree of hyperhidrosis or excessive sweating. And you need to know, instead of blasting your entire email list with trying to sell your product that only addresses extreme cases of hyperhidrosis, you want to preferably see who are the people on your list that have severe cases of hyperhidrosis. So perhaps you create a quiz asking things that will allow you to know who are the people that have it. So I find it to be very effective to use with your email list for segmenting purposes. Again, another friend of mine on his podcast, I think it's the same one, did the same podcast, that mentions Pat Flynn, who's another person from Smart Passive Income. Amazing. He's like, Tom's been with me, I think, at some events where I'm like, that's him. I want to go take a picture with him. Like, I love. You saw him, yeah.
Yes,
Back to the Future.
Yeah, he like stopped and
I'm like a groupie. I'm like a groupie. Like I pay to subscribe to his, paid private YouTube stuff. Like I love what he's done on almost everything he's done. Super good.
You're like twice his size.
Height wise, right?
Is that Will It Fly? Is that Will It Fly? Is that his book?
Will It Fly? Super Fans is his other one.
He like blocked him off when you was coming. He like blocked him off.
So you're not getting away from me.
Yeah.
Does his email sequence sucks?
Well, it depends what you're getting. Like if where he's really good, and he's also very transparent as to, and also like what sucks. But he's done something that I don't really have the stones to do, and that is he's transparent about everything in his business. He'll clearly show the bank account. He'll show every single aspect of everything. I personally think it leaves him too vulnerable, but it's worked for him.
But I think he's stopped, or he's still.
No, he's still doing that with a lot of different areas of his business. But when it comes to his open rates, he has open rates of like 72% on his email. So it's like, it's insane. Like you call BS on that. Somebody tells you that. Here's the reason why. he segments the heck out of his email list. So if he had an email list of 10,000 people that had engaged with some form of his hyperhidrosis, lead magnets, or anything like that, when he sends out an email campaign, just because you have 10,000 people on your list doesn't mean you send it to 10,000 people on your list. Say he, during doing this quiz and sending this quiz out through WooBox, he finds that there's 800 people here that are just clearly suffering from severe cases of hyperhidrosis. He sends it to 800 people. And now of the 800 people that are clearly his, avatar, his customer, he has over a 70% conversion rate. So there's a lot to that story. So for quizzes, that's where I mostly use quizzes there. It's also really good though if you're posting it in your Facebook group, which I don't know why everyone with a brand doesn't have a Facebook group at a minimum. But if you post it in your Facebook group or if you run it as an ad, it's an easy way to pixel people based on like similarly that you would do with showing a video ad and then retargeting people based on the amount of time that they viewed the video. Would be the same thing with your trivia and your quiz. You'd be retargeting them based on how much of it they completed. So I find it very effective. Sometimes the first, your first date that you have with this person on social media, the date meaning you're just connecting and you're asking them for that email address. Sometimes it's too much in some situations.
So let's say you launch the brand and you are, let's say you're building the community, gathering the emails before the launch of your product. What is your thought process to determine how many emails to aim for before the launch?
Say that one more time.
So let's say you're preparing for your launch, you're building your audience, getting the emails. What is your thought process to determine how many emails to aim for to get before the launch?
Let me repeat it back for people listening and for the fact that I want to make sure that I'm understanding it is you want to know how many emails you should have, how many people you should have on your email list or aim to have before going into a launch. Because how I do it is well before the launch, I start building this list. I don't think it's a quantity number. In this case, it's definitely a quality number. I would say rather, there's definitely a quantity. You want more than 5, you want more than 10. Let's say, I guess we could kind of quantify this number. Let's say you knew that you wanted to use this, something very simple. You wanted to use this email to get to kind of drip it out and do a search find buy of 10 people converting per day over a period of 8 days, something super simple. Knowing that to get 10 people, you probably needed to send it to at least 20 because only 10 would act when you needed them to act. So that's 20 times 8 days. In that case, what is that, 160 people? So I guess you could do some weird quantification that way. But I don't look at it like that. What I base it off of is scoring. And I liked, initially when I was building these lists, I looked at it as I used to be able to, every single person that I got to reach a certain score, say somewhere between 55 and 70 positive, I knew that they would leave me a review. And this is when I put a lot more focus on reviews. So I was like, when I launch, I want to get 1,000 reviews. And back then we used to be able to launch products and I'd get 1,000 reviews within 30 to 45 days. It was amazing. So in that case, I wanted to build this until I got to that number, to where I saw I had 1,000 plus people in the range of say 55 to 75. There was several times though that I got the product and it was time to launch, but I didn't have that amount. It's not like I said, well, I'm not launching yet until I get it. I had enough to get started. Yeah, but I would pay more attention to the quality, which you can do in an automated way with scoring on your email list.
So you would look for, even if you want to look for something you want to have it on Amazon, and then you will backwards engineer from that and look for how many and what scoring you will need if you want to make that happen.
Yeah, we see we have a question here. Can you elaborate a bit on pixels? What are they? How do you get them and how do you use them? Oh boy. That's Chris too. Chris has it on. Did you guys listen to the podcast with Chris Code on it? You remember Chris? Yeah. It came out a couple weeks ago. It was really good. Yeah, it was towards the end of one of our podcasts. I think we had already stopped recording, yeah? And he's just got,
The last one that you had, like, before the holidays.
he is just like a gold mine of just like CPG stuff and branding and on the podcast, like he just started like unleashing some stuff when I was like, oh my God, I wish we were still recording. But he came on the podcast and like really did good.
Do you have a recording?
For the podcast, yeah. It's like within the last 3 to 5 episodes. Yeah, it was really good. But Chris asked about pixels. What's the easiest thing here? It's JavaScript, I believe. So it's just like
It's an image.
It's an image. Yeah,
JavaScript?
it's JavaScript. Yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it's JavaScript.
Yeah, but it's an image, and you put it usually like in the header or something on your website on the back end, and it's just look at it as a string of code. And what happens now is when people visit that page, I'm gonna try to give the simple, 101 definition of this. When someone visits that page, you can have it set up to where everyone that is exposed to that pixel on this page goes into this audience. Breaking it down a little, still basic, but a little more would be, say you had a page with your product, and immediately after, like a checkout page, and right behind it was a thank you page. And the pixel was on both pages. You can have it set up and then be able to look at the pixel and be like, okay, everyone who saw this page with the product but did not see the thank you page, you want to retarget them with a different ad because they showed some kind of interest that they went to the actual product detail page, but obviously not enough interest, or something happened, or the dog barked, or something happened that they did not check out. Otherwise, they would have been exposed to the thank you page. Google is nearly identical. They just don't call it a pixel, and it's a lot more robust where you could do a lot of other things and get a lot more data. But I feel like that's the best definition we could do at the back end of a meetup. That could be an entire topic in and of itself. If Douglas, yeah, gracias de nada. If Douglas is on here tonight, I don't know if he is, but Douglas Levin, if he's on here, he could just jump in there too and also explain it. I think that's his like area of expertise. Any other questions? No. Any other questions here? If not, we'll wrap it up. We're like 12 minutes early, but that's all good.
Do you always send out emails before you launch?
I do. I build an email list before I launch. I think it's more important than ever. The only like setback I've had with emails since growing my brands over the years is the example that I was just talking about, where I could get 1,000 people and get 1,000 reviews within 30 days, and they were real people, real purchase. There was no rebates here. There was no anything like that. These were people that wanted to buy my product. Amazon has gotten to a point where they'll just smack me with like, what do you call it? Something within the realm of review manipulation, like too many reviews within a short period of time. These are full price purchases. So I can no longer do that. Outside
Because of the percentage of reviews that you get.
Yes, the percentage of like the ratio of sales to reviews, it's abnormal. Right. So you can build something that is so legitimately that it will trigger abnormal on Amazon with emails. Like that's how powerful it is.
What do they do in those cases?
It got pretty severe one time. Like I almost got to a point with a product that we got to the point where like no more linking and talking about this product for like the next 3 months in our emails, because Amazon got to the point and said this product like never, like apparently they can do something now where this product will never be able to receive reviews again.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And as long as you have like sufficient reviews when you started, I guess that's okay. But one thing I don't know is, does that mean no more positive reviews or no more negative reviews too? Like you're going to have a product continue selling that can't receive negative reviews? I doubt it. So I think they would probably allow negative reviews to come in, and at some point you're
I've seen products since where they removed all the reviews and blocked reviewing.
Oh, you see, yeah. So that can be an issue, but as long as you're controlling it, can somebody trigger the door for her? As long as you're monitoring it, that shouldn't be a problem. But that is literally the only setback I've ever had with emails. The other thing is, once you put in that work to build it, it's not like you need to relearn this skill set or you need to relearn another launch strategy or anything like that. It's done. They're there. You actually could launch products quicker and more affordably by having a list. You're not subject to a social media platform banning you and you have no contact to any of your people. You're not subject to them, deciding what percentage. And this isn't just Facebook. Like eventually, this is gonna happen everywhere. What percentage of your audience is actually going to see what you want them to see? Like, you're providing value. People open it. Yeah. So in short, everybody should open up an email address. Let's see.
What's the max frequency before you start burning out your audience in terms of email?
I guess there could be a number of max frequency before you start burning out your audience. I don't think, let me ask you something. If I sent you 10 emails a day, that would burn you out. But if I sent you 10 emails a day and every time you opened them, you made $100, would you be burned out?
Yes, I think so.
Right. You're burned out of receiving money. So I don't think it's a matter of a number. I think it's a matter of you get to a point where you can only offer so much value that's still relevant to one person. And if you did all of it, like if you had 50 things that you could blow this person away with and save them $500, would you rather drop that email every 2 weeks amongst everything else? Or would you drop all 50 on day one and they just don't need you anymore? So that would be my answer. Like burnout comes, or like the fatigue comes, and they don't want to open your stuff when they've opened so many and it's not benefited them.
Or too repetitive, like.
But again, it didn't benefit them, because even if it was repetitive and it's like the email said, go to this link, put this code, and $100 is going to appear in your ATM, and that same email came repetitively, they would still be okay with it. So again, it boils down to now, if you sent that email and they put the code and it stopped giving it to them and you kept sending the email, then it would be repetitive, like obnoxious repetitive.
And I think it goes to what you were saying before. The more you can segment those email lists, the better response you're going to get, right?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's two
The more you can segment those email lists, the better
Absolutely.
response is going to be. Like an all-hat point thing. The more you can segment them, the better.
Yeah, that should definitely be a goal when you get people, is to segment them. Marie asked a question, does it make sense to have others send out an email for you if they have your target audience? Absolutely. If you have, I did a podcast on this too, which I said my number one purchase for 2020 is outsource school. Outsource school, absolutely. I think I have a code somewhere too to save you money if you want to get it, but outsource school is my number one purchase of 2020. And I already know about VAs and building teams and all that stuff. But he has 2 systems, playbooks he calls them, in outsource school that are completely built out, templates and everything, to just hand to I don't want to call it a cheap VA, and I feel like VA is an ugly word, but just hand it to someone that doesn't need to be highly skilled and cost a lot of money. How about that? And one of them is a strategic partnership playbook, and the other one is a lead generation playbook. And finding someone in your industry who has an email list, and they're not like a direct competitor of yours, like you guys sell the same product, that you can reach out to and let's say this is a form of strategic partnership. I've been doing this since I can't remember. I will have a 10 to 15 minute conversation with 2 to 3 people I have never spoke with in my life every week. And I have done that, I think, for over a decade. And it's not to sell each other on anything. It's like, hey, what's up? I saw you did this. I really like that. Tell me about yourself. I just want to build my network. That's it. That would be more of that's not strategic partnership. But when you start getting into strategic partnership, it might be, look, Tom, you have this list. You have this audience. I have this audience. You have a podcast. You have an email list. You have a Facebook group. You have an Instagram, whatever you have. And the more of those things you have, the better. Your website has the only other brands I would work with for fishing or whatever. And you put some other people there. And I was like, look, let's do this. To just keep this relationship going. You don't want to do a huge ask because it's going to get very complicated. And that is, once every 6 months, I will write a blog to go on your website with a link coming to mine. And you will do the same thing. You will write your blog. I will write my blog. We'll both make sure that we're okay with what's written. And that's it. It's very simple. It's not like, listen, from now on, every other week, we're going to share blogs. That turns into a lot of work. Even if you did it to where it's saying like once a year we'll do this. If you're doing this with 2 or 3 people a week, at the end of the year, you have 52 people. And if they were doing it once a year, every single week moving forward, you have somebody exchanging content with you and you build up this pretty massive machine. Now, you said something, the question online was, would I email on somebody else's list? Yes, email is a channel that you have. So if I have an email list and you have an email list and you're like, hey, look, I have this offer. I'm like, I have this offer. I've already exhausted it maybe with my list. Let's put my offer in your list and give me your offer in my list. It's refreshing. It's extra content. I'm staying relevant. You should definitely do it. That's like a strategic partnership. But Nathan Hirsch and Connor Gillivan, I'm losing my voice, they outlined this in the form of a playbook inside of Outsource School. And there's several different playbooks like that. And they're not just written to create more work for you. Just hand them to a virtual assistant. Like, it literally has the training on how to use the training for the VA. It has a training on how to hire and what skills to look for in the VA that will understand the training on how to use. It's complete.
School is just like
He cranks out playbooks all the time. I think you're going to pay $100 a month. The SOPs that are inside of that, like, I can build them. I build SOPs all the time. A short SOP costs me 16 hours. I'll totally buy somebody else's SOP for $100 a month. And he cranks them out 2 new ones a month. Like, it's insane.
So then it's your VAs that take care of a lot of things that you know.
Yeah, but my VA is not going to get on the Zoom call. My VA is not going to get on the phone call, right? But all that other hard work and finding the people and deciding, hey, should we reach out to this person? I sent it out and doing all that, they can do it. So the short answer to all of that, I rambled, is the yes, absolutely.
Do they run those raffles and all that for you?
He doesn't have, this Outsource School doesn't have a process for that, but you could totally create an SOP for that. Yeah. Well, one of the things that we're going to do for members of the Video Vault is, and we were just talking about this in the admin group, is we're going to, I think the one we're going to start with, because we want to start basic, and that is, we'll probably start with how to open an Amazon account. And what it's going to be is, we're going to build an SOP on how to open an Amazon account. What I'm going to do is, we'll probably put a poll out there on who here feels like they're an expert at opening up an Amazon account. And we're going to grab 4 or 5 people. We're going to create a Telegram chat. I've hired 2 people on my team whose sole job will be building it based on the data that's given to them. And I'm going to be in that chat. So the people that have no experience in building SOPs can see me working with a team member on how you go about building an SOP. At the end of it, we all have an SOP. And we can start building that SOP library and then get into more complicated things, obviously, that are a lot more exciting than how to open up an Amazon account. But those SOPs, pre-built SOPs that you can hand off as well, will be available in the vault. And you're going to see immediately, like, anyone that's kind of thinking $100 a month, Jesus Christ, that's a lot. That will be erased from your mind as soon as you attempt to build one SOP. Like, Elvis is nodding, like, oh my God, a lot of late nights. What else do we have here? Jeff says 1,000 reviews in 30 to 40 days for real customers. Can you share something about the product, price point, category? Yeah.
I think he thought it was you were talking about that you could be able to do that, but it would trigger. I think he's asking.
I used to be able to do that, without a problem.
But in general, you'd be able to do it with multiple categories and multiple products. He was thinking that you did that with one product, one category.
Yeah, no, you could do it with multiple categories. Yeah, and multiple products. I mean, to put it in perspective, like, you can run a specific contest, like for a dance shoe or something, and get 6,500 people in one contest. Dance shoe only costs $250. So if you had $1,000 a month budget and you ran that once a week, at the end of the month, you'd have 25,000 people. Say you did that for 2 or 3 months, and you have a massive percentage that drop off and don't actually convert, and whose score doesn't get up. You're still left with more than enough to get 1,000 reviews in your first 30 days. So What I was saying there, though, the problem is that it triggers now something with Amazon because so many people have played with the system that a very easy way for Amazon to detect review manipulation is just the ratio of sales. And Lokesh is asking, and we'll start wrapping it up. Lokesh is asking, what's the name of this website that you were talking about? Which website was I just talking about?
Outsource.
Outsource School. Yeah, outsourceschool.com. I have a link that I can share. I think we make I think if you get on it, I think the group makes like $5 a month every time you renew, but all that goes to this place. So when it gets to the spot where it's buying me more empanadas, I will brag about it. But right now, it's going to this place. So if you hold off on getting it, I will send you a link and it will be appreciated. But I highly recommend everybody get Outsource School, whether you use the link or not. As a matter of fact, next Saturday, I'll pop open my Outsource School for anyone that's like on the fence about it. And I will jump into any playbook you want. If you work with packaging design or you work with website designers or you work with anything design, you will know quickly that they are a royal pain in the you-know-what. I've not used this playbook that's there, but they have it. I've glanced at it. They have a playbook in there that is a designer playbook. And it's everything soup to nuts from the hiring portion all the way to the fully trained thing and how to keep track of a project and where they're supposed to check in and say what. Very hands off. He doesn't even like using video. Like he's a Slack channel. That's it. Everything can be done from a Slack channel and that's it. I'm not personally in agreement with that, but he does. All right. It looks like that's all the questions for this topic. And it's 8 o'clock. So if nobody does have any other questions or anything Amazon related that anyone wants to bring up and talk about before we go to Bonefish.
I wanted to ask you.
Yep.
Not related to email.
Sure.
I have a shipment that I'm getting from China, and it's coming DDP. And I received all the tracking numbers for UPS and all that from the freight forwarding. So half of the shipment has arrived already, to Amazon. And the other half has not arrived. So I'm trying to get in contact with the freight forwarder to say no, what do I do? And it says that the shipment is already at UPS's warehouse. It's already in US and it's in the warehouse. But because of COVID, things are delayed. I don't know how far that's true though.
I mean, could it be half your shipment's already arrived to Amazon and the other half is just kind of like in limbo?
Yeah.
And then your carrier says it's already with UPS. Basically, it's out of their hands. It's cleared customs and it's in domestic carrier's route.
It has clear customs and everything. So
Yeah.
What do you do in this case then? I called UPS. They said, the labels have been created, but we don't know, if it's in the warehouse or not.
I mean, so two things. What do you do? And then the other thing to address, like looking at the positive here, like staying positive and not thinking like it's lost, it fell off a truck somewhere. What they're saying is just correct. Like everything is so backed up and the hardest hit areas are logistics. So
half could have reached and half has not reached. So.
Is it in California?
Yeah, it is in California.
Yeah.
You saw everyone's answer.
Yeah.
California is the hardest hit area.
I mean-
the hardest hit sector and the hardest hit. They're half dumb, for lack of a better word.
Oh God.
Sorry, I went French.
Yeah, so they didn't ship a whole container from the port to Amazon. Like it got broke down and then it got put on pallets and then the pallets were going to Amazon. Yeah. So the how as to how it got split up and half could make it and half not is because it was separated to where that allowed for that to happen.
Not on pallets. They were just.
A prep center put them in boxes.
Because when it's going DDP, they don't like
Oh, yeah.
to have it on pallets.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of reasons. California,
California.
pandemic, different locations. There's so many. Now, as far as what could you do, it sounds like you're doing everything that you could do, and that's calling.
Yeah, so I keep calling. It's the name of the company is Forest Leopard. I don't know if you heard.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Are they good or not good?
Turn off the mic.
no, you don't turn off the mic. You can say it.
They keep spamming the group.
Yeah. I know several people that have good stories to say from Forest Leopard.
Yeah, I saw a lot of good reviews,
I know a lot of people that are saying good stuff about Forest Leopard. I guess the only, like, so there's nothing to be concerned that your stuff's going to get stolen or nothing's going to happen. I think the eye rolling here is this is an admin in the group, and he gets to see a lot of the people when they enter the group. He also sees the chat where something had to get removed because somebody spammed the group, and I'd say we almost get spammed daily by Forest Leopard.
So just go on the Facebook group and see all of the people that suggest them.
Yeah, so we're not a fan of the spamming, and we like wish we could get in contact with him and say, hey, dude, like give it a break, like, but it.
I don't think that they're bad. Half of it.
I don't think they're bad either. No. I think their social media team is bad.
Yeah, the eye roll was the spamming. Me having to go in and, you know.
I know people who say they use them that are not fake profiles that are spamming our group, and in this industry, like in Amazon with their groups, if a logistics company starts dropping the ball and everything, they get crucified. Badly crucified. Even if the spammer put a post out there recommending it, you'd have like 9 comments screenshotting the horrible thing that happened to their inventory. So I think you're safe there. It really does sound legitimately like COVID, California, different fulfillment centers. They're backed up. They don't even have the time to like find out your tracking number and give you the courtesy of this is what's going on. Your goods are actually sitting right here. Bob's looking at them now, and like they can't do that right now. It's just like all hands on deck.
But when I was looking at the news online, I didn't see that UPS is experiencing issues. Have you seen it?
I don't see any carrier right now that says they're experiencing COVID-related issues, but everyone is. Yeah, you can't not. If you're in logistics, you can't not do it.
We had today in the Telegram, I think it was Tracy was saying that she thought USPS was out of the, was out of it, like out of this December issue that they had, and she's having issues with USPS.
Yeah, USPS is,
Yeah, so, I mean, and I'm not having issues down here. I think it's a very, very regional thing as to where, what is going on. So I second with Carlos.
I thought it was isolated to Christmas. I saw a U-Haul truck today that had a DOT sticker stuck on the side of it that was being repurposed as a UPS truck. So like to me, even if their site says like no warning like of delays, when UPS gets to a point where they're repurposing U-Haul trucks and the people doing the deliveries out of them are not even in UPS uniforms as drivers, they're maxed.
Well, like, wasn't it you that told me, or someone told me that? I think I might have seen it on Instagram or Facebook, something, that someone showed up in a non-UPS to deliver their UPS package in a Cadillac because they were like, you have a car, you have an SUV, we'll give you
I can imagine, yeah.
It's true. Our UPS driver told us they've actually rented like temporary warehouses, and they're paying like individuals to go there, pick up a bunch of packages and deliver them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so here are the stories right here. UPS, and there's nothing wrong with UPS. Like UPS, like everybody else right now, is just unprecedented.
California is on complete lockdown.
Yes.
Oh,
they got off lockdown today?
It says UPS here, and it's always like folded over so you don't see.
Especially when you have to send something from California to San Diego, not a big deal, but it's from California to Maine. It's just gonna take longer.
Yeah, well, everybody online, thank you so much. I wish you could be joining us at Bonefish. Everybody else here, thank you for coming out. I hope you liked the presentation. You got something from it, and I hope everybody can come down to Bonefish. Yep, thank you. Lewis is treating. This will be good. Yeah.
It's not April Fool's, is it?
Lewis is treating to the bread and pesto.
Still going on?
My account is currently under review, but I just created a new account. You got it.